A retired federal judge thought he had seen the worst of humanity, until his own son tried to murder his wife for inheritance money. What began as a surprise visit ended in betrayal, greed, and a fight for justice that shattered a family forever. This is the story of survival, truth, and an unthinkable choice. 3 weeks ago, my life was perfectly normal. I was retired, living a quiet life in Scottsdale, Arizona. My wife, Eleanor, had flown to Phoenix to help our son and his wife settle into their new home. I was looking forward to joining them in a few days, but I decided to surprise her early. I bought flowers and got in the car for what should have been a simple 40-minute drive. I never made it to their front door. As I pulled up to their house in a quiet, gated community, a woman came running across the neighbor's lawn. She was waving her arms and shouting at me to stop. She was out of breath, her eyes wide with pure panic. She worked as a house cleaner on the street, and she recognized me from a family photo Eleanor had shown her. Her words hit me like a physical blow. She told me not to unlock the door because something terrible had happened to my wife. She said she had heard screaming from the house 3 days earlier. She had seen the paramedics take Eleanor away on a stretcher. She said our son and his wife had not followed the ambulance. They had packed their cars and vanished. 10 minutes later, I was on the phone with emergency services, my world collapsing around me. The dispatcher confirmed an ambulance had been called to that address. Eleanor had been transported to Banner University Medical Center in critical condition. Nothing in my life would ever be the same. Let me back up. My name is Harold Mitchell. I spent 35 years as a federal judge. I thought I had seen every kind of human deceit and desperation from the bench. I was wrong. The most chilling case of my life would not involve strangers. It would involve my own family. The drive from Scottsdale should have taken 40 minutes. I made it in 28. I broke every speed limit on the 101 freeway. My hands shook so violently I nearly missed the exit twice. Eleanor had not answered her phone in 4 days. 4 days of silence from a woman who had texted me good morning every single day for 41 years of marriage. I tried to cling to simple explanations. Maybe her phone fell in the pool at the new house. Maybe she was so busy helping with the move she forgot to charge it. Maybe the intense Arizona heat had exhausted her. There had to be a logical reason. But a deeper, colder feeling told me something was very wrong. Our son, Derek, had been different lately. He was the boy I coached in Little League. He was the young man I helped through law school. But over the past year, every conversation eventually turned to money. The new house needed renovations. His wife Megan's boutique was struggling. They were talking about refinancing, but the interest rates were too high. Then, 3 months ago, he asked a question that turned my stomach. He asked if Eleanor and I had updated our estate plan recently. He mentioned that, with property values rising, it might be a good time to review everything. I mentioned it to Eleanor that night. She was reading in bed, perfectly relaxed. She said Derek was just being practical, that he was the planner in the family. Maybe she was right. Or maybe my 35 years of reading people had taught me to recognize a calculated tone. My son's curiosity felt like something else entirely. When my GPS announced I had arrived, I saw the house. It was at the end of a cul-de-sac. It had a terracotta roof, pristine desert landscaping, and a 3-car garage. It was the kind of house that shouted success on the outside but probably hid a mountain of debt and sleepless nights inside. I parked at the curb. The front yard was immaculate. Nothing was out of place. I walked toward the front door, flowers in hand, rehearsing my surprise. That is when the cleaning lady, Maria, ran to me with her terrible news. After my frantic call to 911, I drove to the hospital in a daze. The hospital was a blur of harsh lights and sterile smells. I found the intensive care unit on the 4th floor. I gave my name to the nurse. Her expression changed when she checked her computer. She told me they had been trying to reach family for 3 days. My wife had been admitted as a Jane Doe. They only learned her name the day before when she had briefly regained consciousness. A doctor led me to a small private room. What she told me made my knees buckle. Eleanor had suffered severe hypoglycemia. Her blood sugar was dangerously low due to an insulin overdose. The levels in her system were 10 times what a diabetic would ever take. Eleanor was not diabetic. Someone had injected her with enough insulin to kill her. The doctor said she was lucky to be alive. Another hour without treatment would have been fatal. The extended period without adequate blood sugar could cause complications, memory issues, confusion. We would not know the full extent of the damage until she was stronger. I found my wife in room 418. She was surrounded by beeping machines. She looked pale and fragile, connected to tubes and monitors. I pulled a chair close to her bed and took her hand. I whispered to her that I was there and that I would find out who did till the police arrived an hour later. Detective Ramirez from the Phoenix Police Department was a weathered man in his 50s. He had seen everything. I told him everything. I told him about Maria, the cleaning lady, and what she witnessed. I told him about Derek and Megan's disappearance. I told him about the financial troubles and the questions about our estate. Detective Ramirez took notes without showing any reaction. He said they would need to interview Eleanor when she was able. They would also want to speak with Derek and Megan. He assured me they would find them. Eleanor woke up the next morning. I had spent the night in the chair beside